Hey, welcome. In this video, we are going to learn about NumPy, one of the most essential libraries for numerical computing in Python. By the end of this video, you will have a solid understanding of how NumPy works, and you will be able to start using NumPy to handle arrays and perform fast mathematical operations in your own projects. Before we jump in, make sure you have Anaconda or Miniconda installed along with Jupyter Notebook. If you don't have them installed yet, no problem. I'll share the links to install them in the description box, and it only takes a few minutes. Now this video will be around 30 to 35 minutes, and I won't cover everything NumPy has to offer, but I'll teach you the most important tools and techniques you need to know, especially when working with data, matrices, or performing complex mathematical operations. So let's get started. What is NumPy? Well, NumPy is short for numerical Python. It's a Python library that can perform mathematical and statistical operations on a large number of numerical data. Okay, so the core feature of NumPy is the array. We also call it ND array or simply arrays. So arrays are the foundation of this NumPy library, using which we can perform complex numerical calculations. I'll cover the basics of NumPy to get started with our stock prediction project. Let's start learning NumPy in our Jupyter Notebook. So make sure your Jupyter Notebook is running. So I will create a new notebook and I will name it as Learn NumPy. Learn NumPy. All right. So I hope you have already installed NumPy. Okay, so if you have not installed it, you can install it by running conda install NumPy. So first of all, we need to actually import NumPy. Import NumPy as np. Okay, execute this. And if you don't get any errors, that means your NumPy package is installed properly. Okay, now if you want to see the version of your NumPy, you can just say np dot underscore underscore version underscore underscore. Now execute this. 1.26.4 is installed. Okay, so I will actually cover how to create the NumPy arrays and how to read the NumPy arrays and how we can update and delete the NumPy arrays. Okay, so these are the basic foundations of this library. All right, so as I said, the core feature of NumPy is the array. Okay, so we need to be able to create the arrays. Okay, in arrays we have one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, three-dimensional array, and multi-dimensional array. We can also say ND arrays. Okay, so first let's create 1D array. So first I'll create a markdown here. So I'll say hash create and read. Okay, create and read, and go to command mode by pressing escape and press M and shift enter. Okay, so this is how you create the markdown. Okay, so I'll again create another markdown and say, if you put 3 and 4 star, the markdown will become smaller. So I'll say 1D array. So 1D array means one-dimensional array. Okay, so again go to press escape, M and shift enter. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll say arr1 is equal to np dot arrays. Okay, np dot array. This is how you create the arrays manually. Okay, so I'll create a simple array. It is just like how you create the Python list, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now if you print it like this, array1, and you can see this is the array that we have created right now. So this is the one-dimensional array, and this one-dimensional array does not have any rows or columns. Okay, so these are just the array elements. So now if you want to see the type of this array, whether just want to confirm whether this is an array or not, right? So you simply say type of arr1, and you see numpy.nd array. So this is the numpy array. Okay, so you can also see the shape of this array, arr1.shape, right? So you can see 5 comma blank. Okay, so why this is 5 comma blank? It is just a number of elements. Okay, so it is printing the number of elements, comma nothing, right? So that's because it does not have anything except the number of elements. This is 1D array. Okay, so why comma here? Because you can consider this like tuple, right? So in tuple, if you do not have more than one element, you have to put comma. Okay, all right. So let's see the type of the elements. Okay, so let's see the type of this, or maybe a data type. You can say data type of the element. I'll say arr1 dot d types. D types. Okay, sorry, I'm sorry. It is d type. All right, so it is, you see, integer 64, right? These are all the integer elements, right? So that's why it is int 64. Okay, so I've been saying this is 1D array, right? So how do you see whether it is 1D array or not, right? So if you want to see the number of dimensions of an array, you can simply say your array dot ndim, okay, ndim. Execute this and you can see it is 1, right? So 1 means it is a one-dimensional array. Okay, so you can also see the size of the elements. For example, how many elements are there, right? So if you say arr1 dot size, you will see 5. If I put one more and size, you can see it is 6, right? The shape will also become 6. Okay, so let's create the 2D array. 2D array. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll actually say arr2 is equal to, again, np dot array. So it's a way of creating the arrays manually. Later, I will also show you how to create the arrays automatically. You don't have to, write the elements of an array manually. Okay. So for now, I'll say, I want to create the two-dimensional array. Okay. Just understand this properly. So what is two-dimensional array? So, well, it's an array inside an array. Okay. It's like a nested arrays. So just create an array. Okay. So this is one array, right? Inside this array, we will have another array. Let's say 1 comma 4 comma 5, right? And put a comma and we will put another array. Let's say 6 comma 7 comma 4, right? So if you print this arr2, you can see here, right? This is the two-dimensional array. So it will have rows and column. Okay, so this is the row, right? So this is the row and this is the column. Okay, you see this 1 6 4 7 and 5 4, right? So this is the rows and columns. Okay, so let's see arr2 dot ndim. Want to just see how many dimension it has. It has two dimensional. It's a 2D array. Now let's see the shape of this array. So what is the shape of this array? Okay, I just told you this, right? What is the shape of this array? It's a 2 comma 3. Why 2 comma 3? It's always a, just say, a row comma column. So how many rows it has? It has one row, two row, right? It has two rows, right? So it will become 2 and 2 comma 3 columns it has, right? 1 2 3. Now let's hit enter and you can see 2 comma 3. 2 rows, 3 columns. Okay, so next you can also see d type, right? Array to d type. It is all again the int 64, and if you print this size, it will again have this 6 elements, because you see 1 2 3 4 5 6, right? If you want to see that again, you can just play with it. Okay, so it's a number of elements in an array. Okay, let's quickly create 3D array. I'll actually say 3D array. So visualizing 3D array will be, kind of little difficult, because a 3D array is nothing but the array inside an array inside an array. Okay, what is 4D array? 4D array is nothing but the array inside an array inside an array inside an array. Okay, so it's kind of nested arrays. So let's go till 3D array. Let's try to visualize how this 3D array looks like. Okay, so visualizing 1D array and 2D array is very easy. Okay, 1D array will only have the elements, okay, and 2D array will have the rows and columns. Okay, so you can, just by looking at this, you can say it's a 2D array. Okay, the column is 2 and 3. Now 3D array, let's just try to say arr3 is equal to np dot array, and let's try to create an array. Okay, so this is actually the outer array. So inside this outer array, we want to actually put this 2D array. Just put this. Okay, so comma, we will again put one 2D array here, 3 comma 5 comma 4 comma 5 comma 8 comma 7. Let's try what is this, right? So let's hit enter and ARR3, and you see this is actually the 3D array. And if you say ARR3 dot ndim, and you will see that it's a 3D array. Let's see the shape of this array, and you see 2 comma 2 comma 3. How this is 2 comma 2 comma 3, right? So before it was 2 comma 3 because it's a row comma column, right? So now you see 2 comma 2 comma 3. What is this 2, right? What is this 2 and what is this 3? Well, 2 is the number of layers, right? 2 is the number of layers, or 2 is the number of 2D arrays. How many 2D arrays it has, right? It has one 2D array and it has two 2D array, which means it has two layers of arrays. Okay, so that will become 2 and this 2 again, right? So what is this 2? This 2 is nothing but the rows. Okay, so how many rows it has? It has one row and two row in each layer. Okay, not total. In each layer, how many rows we have? We have 2, right? So now in each layer, how many columns we have, right? One column, two column, and three column, right? So that means it is 3. Okay, now let's try to add one more layer to this 3D array. Okay, we want to add one more layer. Now, how you can add one more layer, right? So we have this one array, we have another 2D array, which is the layer, and we will add one more layer here, put a comma. And if you get confused, what you do is just go here and copy this 2D array, copy this and put it here. Just make sure you don't delete the last closing bracket. Okay, so last you have to have 3 closing and 3 open should be there. Okay, let's hit enter and let's execute this. Now if you see, we have 3 layers, right? 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layer, right? You see the dimensional will be same. Okay, dimensional will be same. And can you guess what will be the shape, right? So I'll tell you before I execute this shape. So the shape will be actually 2 is the number of layers. How many layers we have? We have 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layer, right? So it will become 3. I will write it here. It will be 3 comma, because we have 1 2 3 layers, and in each layer how many rows we have? We have 1 2, right? We have 1 row, 2 row, so that will become 2 comma, in each layer how many columns we have? 1 2 3, right? We have 3. Let's run this. Okay, now you can see 3 2 3, right? So this is how you see the shape. Okay, so what will be the size here? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18, right? Let's see how many we have. We have 18 elements in this 3D array. Okay, so that's about the basic 1D 2D and 3D arrays. Okay, you can have 4D 5D 60 or any dimensions. All right, so we cannot just manually write all these 4D 5D 60 and all that, because it will be very difficult to visualize. All right, now that we know how to create 1D 2D and 3D arrays manually, right? So let's actually create the random arrays. So I'll actually say create a random array. Okay, so I'll say a random ARR is equal to np.random np.random.rand. Okay, don't forget, you can always hit tab to see the suggestions. So this rand will take the shape. Okay, so if you say 3 2 3, right? 3 2 3, what it will give is, it will give the 3-dimensional array with the 3 layers, 2 rows and 3 columns for each layer. Okay, so let's say random ARR. Okay, now you can see we have 3 layers, 1 2 3 layers, and we have 2 rows in each layer, and we have 1 2 3 columns, right? So this is actually the randomly generated array. Okay, now let's see the type of this array. Let's say random array dot d type. We want to see the data type. Previously it was int 64, right? So this is just 1 2 3 4 5. Now this is actually a float values, right? Let's try You can see d type is float 64. Okay, so similarly, we can also create the array with zeros. So it is very simple. Zeros is equal to np dot zeros. Okay, np dot zeros. So you pass the shape here, 3 comma 2 comma 3, and if you say zeros, and you see this one, right, 0 0 0 0. Okay, so now let's see the dimension of this zeros. Let's say zeros dot endim, zeros dot endim. It is 3-dimensional, right? So in the zeros, if you want to replace this zeros with some other number, you can say, you can just use this full function. Full is equal to np dot full, right? Np dot full. So in this full, you have to actually say the shape, right? 3 comma 2 comma 3, right? After this shape like this, you put which number you want to put instead of 0, right? If you put 8, then print full, and you can see this is 8, right? If you say 9, and you see 9, right? So this is how you replace the 0 with any number. All right, so likewise, you can also create the arrays with the ones. Okay, so it is just ones is equal to np dot ones, and you put the shape again, 3 comma 2 comma 3. It's up to you. I'm just using one simple example, 3 comma 2 comma 3. So it's a 3-dimensional array. If you say ones, and you can see 1 1 1, right? So it's a 3-dimensional array. Okay, so with the NumPy, you can also do some operations here, like slicing and all that, right? Let's take one example. Let's see this ARR3, right? It's a 3-dimensional array. It has this integer numbers. All right, so let's try to get the first layer or first instance within this array, right? We want to actually take out the first instance of this array. So how we can do? We can simply say ARR3 of always access using this index number, right? So this is actually the 0th index, first index, second index. Similarly, it's a 0th index, first index. Okay, and similarly, it's a 0th index, first index, and second index, right? So it's like that. Now, if you say ARR3 of 0, right, outer side, so you will see this like this. What if you want to access this one, 1 4 5, right? You simply have to say again 0 and 0, right? What if you want to access this one, 1, right? You again put 0, right? You see 1, right? If you put 2, can you guess what output you will get? So you will get this 5, right? You can see it is 5, right? All right. So you can actually, get the first instance of the array. And what if you want to slice this array, right? So I will actually say ARR3, right? ARR3 of 0 colon 2, right? So what it is saying is get the elements from 0 to 2, right? But 0 to 2 means it will not include 2. Okay, it will not include this one. Okay, it will include 0 and 1 up till 2. All right, so it will not include 2. Let's try. Okay, you can see we have this layer 1 4 5, this one, right? We have this one, and we have this one. If you want all the things, you can simply say 3 like this. Okay, so that means 2 will be covered, 3 will not be covered, right? You can see here like this. Okay, I'll go back to 2. Okay, now what if you want to get the last array? Simple. What if you want to get the last array? You can simply say ARR3 of -1. -1 is the index of the last element. Hit enter, and you can see this is the one. Okay, so let's try to get the single value. So I think I have already shown you this, how to, for example, can you take out this value 5? I have shown you this already, right? So let's try again. ARR3, right? So we want to get the value 5, right? So I will actually say this is 0, this is 1, and this is 2, right? So we want to go inside this one. So this is actually 1, first index. I'll put 1, So after this, I want to actually fetch this one, right? So what is the index of this? You see here 0 and 1 index, right? We are already focusing this one, right? So by saying this one, now we want to access this one, this row, right? So the index of this row is 0, right? Let's put 0. And again, inside this row, see the index here, right? So this is 0, 1, right? So this is the first index. Let's put 1. And now, if you execute this, you will see 5, right? What if you put 2? You will see 4, right? So that's how you access the single element. You can also access a single element like this, arr3 of 1 comma 0 comma 1. Okay, instead of saying like this, you can also say like this. Hit enter. Oh, I'm sorry, I think you cannot put the parenthesis like that. Just cover it with the square bracket. Now hit enter. You see 5. All right, I think that's the basic operations. Okay, so you just need to do all these very simple read operations and all that. All right, in this video, let's see how we can update and delete the NumPy arrays. Okay, so first of all, let's perform some basic mathematical operations like adding, subtracting, dividing, and multiplications. Okay, so to perform all these operations, we need two arrays. Okay, so let's create one array is equal to np.random np.random.rand. So I'll actually create an array with the 2 comma 3 comma 2. Okay, 2 comma 3 comma 2. And again, I will create a2 is equal to np.random.rand. I'll again create same shape array 2 comma 3 comma 2. Okay, so now if I say a1, so we have this array, and if I print a2, we have this array. Now we want to do mathematical operations on this and this array, right? Okay, so let's say basic math operations. Okay, so first I'll say np.add a1 comma a2. Okay, so if you hit enter, and you can see it has added the array a1 and a2. Okay, so always remember the NumPy arrays will perform the calculations element wise. Okay, so what is element wise? If you see, you have actually added the a1 with the a2, right? So we have got this resulting array, right? So in this result array, you see this 0.2689, right? So that's actually the sum of the zeroth index of this a1 plus zeroth index of this a2, right? So that becomes this one. So similarly, the first index of this a1 plus first index of this a2 will become 1.66 like this, right? So it will actually properly map each other and perform the calculations element wise. Okay, so not only in add, in any mathematical or statistical operations. All right, so that's actually adding of the arrays. Okay, now let's try to do subtract. Let's say np dot subtract a1 comma a2. Now you can see it has subtracted the elements of a1 with a2. So this is the result array. All right, so np dot divide let's say a1 comma a2. Again, it will do the calculation element wise. Okay, so you see this one. And similarly, we also have multiply, right? So np dot multiply and a1 comma a2, and you can see here 0.0042. That's actually the multiplication of zeroth index of a1 with the zeroth index of a2. This is the value. Similarly, this one, everything will be calculated element wise. Okay, so we also have statistical functions. Okay, so some of these are very important. So in the statistical functions, what I'll do is I'll actually write down all the statistical operations here. SQRT. All right, so I have written these, some of the statistical operations. So I'll just add one markdown here. Okay, so this is actually the square root of 25. Okay, so this is how you see the square root of 25. If you say sqrt, hit enter, and the square root of 25 is 5.0 or 5. All right, and next it's it's an absolute value. So if you run this abs, you will actually see the positive number, right? If you say abs, and you can see, so initially it was -2 and it is +2. And then we also have the power 2 to the power of 8, right? So this is how you say 2 to the power of 8 in NumPy. So in fact, using NumPy, you can do any kind of mathematical operations. Okay, so these are all the very basic things. So if you say power, and you can see 2 to the power of 8 is 256. Now we also have this log, right? Hit enter, and you can see here that log of 25 is 3.18. Similarly, if you want to see the minimum element value of A1, right? So this will be calculated like this, np.min. If you say mins, so actually this is the minimum value of A1, 0.011. If you want to check that, you can see here 0.011. I think, yeah, this is the one. Okay, so this one is greater than this one. Okay, so this is the minimum of this array. Okay, so what is the maximum value of A2, right? A2, 0.941, right? So if you look at A2, the maximum is this one, 0.941. This one, it is 93. Okay. All right. So that's some of the statistical operations in NumPy. And let's try to update the values here. Okay, so I'll take an example of array 3, right? So this is the n-dimensional array that we have created, right? So what to do if I want to change the value 5, right? So instead of 5, I want to update the single value 5 to 500, right? So what I'll do is I'll actually, you already know how to take the single value, right? So here you can see, you can use the index to pinpoint to the exact location of the value, right? So let's try to update this 5. Okay, so how you can update it? ARR3 of the index of this first element is 0, right? 0. And now we want to navigate to this one, this row, right? So the index is actually 0 again, right? Again put 0, and now we are inside this one. So the index of this 5 is 2, right? 0, 1, 2. Put 2, and that's equal to whatever number we want to update, right? 500. Okay, so now if you update it and again print ARR3, and you can see you have updated this 5 with the 500, right? So this is how you pinpoint the exact location of the element. All right, you can also sort it. We have a sort method also, arr3 dot sort. Okay, just say arr3, you just also need to print it. So sorting is nothing but 1 4 500, right? So from lower number to higher number, right? 4 6 7, you can see here. So the original one is like this, and it has become from lower number to higher number. Similarly, this one also gets sorted, and this one also gets sorted. Okay, so one more very important function in NumPy is reshape. Okay, so let's see the shape of this ARR3. I'll write reshape here. It's so very important. So I'll say ARR3 dot shape. Right, the shape of this ARR3 is 3, 2, 3. Right, now let's say I want to reshape this. Right, I want to reshape this to something else. Okay, so how you can do it? Right, we have a function in NumPy, arr3 underscore reshape is equal to, I'll reshape this one, arr3 dot reshape, right? Reshape is a function, and this reshape will take the new shape. Okay, one thing you have to always remember is whatever shape you pass here, that should fit all of the elements of this original array. Okay, so for example, you can pass 2 comma 3 comma 3. Okay, 2 comma 3 comma 3. So that will again become like this arr 3 tree shape. It will become like this, right? So it looks like you have tilted this array, right? So before it was, I think before it was 3 comma 2 comma 3, right? Now it has become 2 comma 3 comma 3. Let me write shape, right? You can see 2 comma 3 comma 3. It has 2 layers now. Before it had 3 layers, 1 2 3 layers, right? So now it has 2 layers, 1 2 layers, and now this time it has 3 rows, 1 2 3 rows, right? So this time it has 3 columns also. Okay, last time also it had 3 columns. Okay, so that's how you reshape the arrays. And one more thing I want to show you before I end this. Instead of 3, you can also write -1. Okay, so -1, which means, it tells the reshape function to automatically calculate the appropriate value. All right, just hit enter and it will be like this. Okay, so this 3 is not necessary. Okay, if you don't understand what to write here, just write -1. All right, so next we have append and insert elements. So I will actually create the markdown, appending and inserting. Okay, so I think I have zeros somewhere here, right? Let me just see zeros. Okay, I already have this zeros array, and what I'll do is I'll actually create one new array and I will append that array into this zeros array. Okay, so that's what I want to do. So I will create a new array, I'll say new array is equal to np.ones. Okay, np.ones. I'll say 3 comma 2, 3 comma 2 comma 3. Okay, so I'll print it. Okay, all right. I'll just cut this and put it inside this parenthesis. Okay, so I have this new array and I also have this zeros, right? So now I want to append this ones, right? So this one array into this zeros array. Okay, so how I can do that? I'll just say append is equal to, okay, just append like this. Okay, append is equal to np.append. Okay, np.append, and just say to which array you want to put the new array, right? So we want to put the new array into this zeros array. That's why I have passed this zeros comma new array, right? I'll just copy this and put it here, new array, and say x axis is equal to 0, right? So why this axis is equal to 0, right? I'll just say axis 0 is equal to row and axis 1 is equal to column. Okay, so axis 0 is column, and I mean axis 0 is row and axis 1 is column. So I want to put this new array into the axis 0. Let me try to print this. Okay, now you can see, so axis 0, right? So as a row it has appended the values, right? 0 0 0, and append means, after this 0 we want to add this new array, right? So that's what you see here. What if you put this axis equal to 1, right? It is adding into the columns, right? You see this column, each layer has a column, right? New array column. Okay, so that's actually the process of appending. And what about inserting elements into an array, right? So I'll say inserting. Okay, just say insert, and again I have actually zeros, right? I have the zeros, and I also have this new array, right? New array of this ones, zeros and ones I have, and I want to insert this new array somewhere in between this zeros. right? Maybe here you can insert, here you can insert, or anywhere. Okay, so that's what insert means. I'll say inserted array is equal to np.insert is the function, np.insert. So you actually want to, first pass the zeros to which array you want to insert the new array, right? So that is zeros, and in which index you want to put, right? So maybe I will insert here after this layer, I will insert here, right? Okay, I will put 1, right? So this is the 0, and 1 index will be our this whole thing, this new array. Okay, so 1 index, and I will say new array, and axis equal to 0, and then I will say inserted array, and you can see here this is the whole thing, right? This is the zeros, and I have inserted this new array in the first index, right? So that's why we have passed this 1. What if you pass 2 here, right? Hit enter, and you can see 0, 1, and 2 index, right? So this is the new array, and this is the remaining layers. So that's about appending and inserting arrays. Okay, now we'll see how we can delete the NumPy array. So let's try to create one more array. Let's say arr4 is equal to np.random.rand. Let's create 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, and print this arr4. Okay, so I've got this array, right? I want to delete this array. Okay, so I'll just say delete the array. Okay, so I'll say np.delete, np.delete, and which array you want to delete, right? arr4, and comma which index you want to delete, right? For example, I want to delete this row, right? 0th index, right? This one, this one, this one. I will say 0, and axis is equal to 1. Okay, I'll hit enter, and you can see this is remaining now. This one has been deleted because index 0, right? So similarly, this one is remaining, this is deleted, this is there, and this is deleted. Okay, so I'll actually store this new array inside the variable arr5 maybe. Okay, so now if I say arr5, and I have this value, right? Now let's say I want to save this array, right? So I can say np.save, and the name of the file will be new array or something, new array, comma which array you want to save, right? So I will say arr5, the one that we have modified, right? Okay, now if you hit enter, you will have this file here, right? New array.npy file should be there. Okay, so you can see new array.npy is created in the root folder. Okay, so yeah, here it is. Okay, now what if you want to load the npy file, right? So I will load the file like this, np.load, and what is the name of the file? New array, right? New array.npy. All right, now you can see this is what is inside this new array.npy. Okay, so that's about deleting and saving and loading the arrays. All right, that's all for this video. I hope this helped you get started with NumPy. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more such videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.